Be seen, heard, and valued. Who doesn't want that? I mean, it's wonderful to feel like you belong. You smile brighter, you feel lighter, happier, you feel special. But so often we feel as if we don't belong. So, why is that? Today's topic is Be Seen, Heard, and Valued. And I'll share with you why you might not feel that way and how you can start to learn more like you belong. Hi, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Deb Pearson, a self-love coach, and my mission is to help people realize just how much power you have over the emotional pain in your life with some easy to learn concepts, a few skills, and definitely some practice. So, what is it? Does it take some work? Yes, it does take some work. It takes some work to um, do the work. It takes some work to do the work. You've got to go through a little bit. But what about what's really happening for you now? How is that working for you? So if you're in a place of it's not working for you, but you can learn some stuff and it will work for you, I don't know, feels like an easy answer to me. So learning how to be seen, heard, and valued is way less exhausting than trying to figure out what everyone else is thinking and doing, how to please them so that you can belong to their group. You know, and so many of us do this all the time because we so desperately want to belong. So let's get into it and talk about why we don't feel seen, heard, and valued. I'll give you the bottom line. We weren't taught how. I know it just seems too easy. We weren't taught how. You know, it's like most of us don't know how to take care of or love the emotional, not the mental, but the emotional parts of ourselves. Now, I'm not blaming anyone. We didn't learn from our parents because they didn't know how to do it. Probably still don't. I mean, there are some, but for the most part, overwhelming majority, they don't. We don't learn how to do this in our schools. We don't know how to do this in our families, in our businesses, or in our organizations. What we're taught is to look outside of ourselves to make sure all the other authority figures in our lives were happy. We literally have lived in survival mode. And so many of us are still there, making sure that we don't upset anyone. And in this mode, there's certain parts of our thinking brain that just shut off. It's like live or die time. And all of this is reaction and reaction and reaction. When we're like that, there's not a lot of thought processing that can happen. So what shows up are the repetitive, reactive thoughts like, I just feel like I don't belong. And it's kind of scary if we're being honest. And sometimes there's a sense of, what is wrong with me? I feel like there's something wrong with me. How is it that all of them get along and I just don't feel part of that? More scary feelings. And it's more than just scary feelings. It's like fight or flight when we're in this part of our brain. And there's little chance for contemplation or conscious thinking or awareness of what's actually going on. So whether you're experiencing it personally or professionally, like you may be having feelings of feeling like an outsider, maybe a bit depersonalized, sometimes dehumanized, like you don't belong, and there's this awful sense of estrangement. That's the big word for today, estrangement. So here's what I do want you to remember. If you don't remember any of the other stuff that I've talked about yet, or maybe some of the things I'm going to talk about, I would like for you to remember one thing. The need to belong, to be seen, heard, and valued is inherently part of being human. It's normal. It's natural. In fact, it would be unnatural if you didn't have this feeling, this desire. The thing is to figure out, where do I belong? Now, I know that you're not going to fit in everywhere. So let's just take a look at some reasons why you might not be fitting in, and then we can talk about what you can do to find a place to fit in. And there's a bunch of different reasons, but I find that they kind of all fit into one of these three categories. Number one, you might be trying to fit in with people that are not your peeps. Like I said, you're not going to fit in everywhere. So maybe the group of people that you're trying to fit into just are different, a different personality type, a different political or religious affiliation or view, and it just isn't going to happen. And if you think about it, not all, this is a little separate, musical notes can be played together. Like on the piano, two notes next to each other don't sound as pretty as a skip, right? So So that's one thing. Maybe the people you're hanging out with isn't the right group for you. The second one is communication. And communication goes both ways. We've got to be listening in a way that we're really hearing what's going on with the other person. And we also need to be able to speak or articulate in a way where the other person can actually hear what we're saying. And whether they do this or not, we've got to be willing to not take it personal and to be very, very clear. So, if you're hearing bumping and stuff, there's repairmen around. So there's something called compassionate communication. And if you're interested in learning that, it can be very, very beneficial for you. The third one is personal growth. So we did not your peeps or not your tribe, communication, and the third one is personal growth. Now, somebody may have outgrown the other person. So you may have outgrown people, or people may have outgrown you, and now there's this disconnect. I know there's been people in my childhood that I had a fabulous relationship with. I go away for some number of years, I come back, they're still kind of stuck where they were. It's very difficult for me to connect with them, except to go where they are, because they can't come where I am because they haven't learned the same techniques and skills that I've learned. So it's a challenge. So there might, it could be any of those three, or it could be something different, but most of it fit within those three. So what's happening is, more often than not, we look for our accolades out there somewhere. We're hoping that other people see us, other people hear us, other people value us. And if they do, hopefully they'll let us know, right? And if they don't, we are left wanting, and it's upsetting. And we want to know, what did I do wrong? How could I do something different so that I fit in? So what I'd like to tell you is that being seen, heard, and valued is so beautiful when it happens. And I know you've experienced it, and it's the reason why you would want it more. It's that joyous feeling of connection. And like I said, we as human beings, we need this. We all need it. It's crucial to our emotional growth, what feeds our souls, gives us the desire to advance and create that feeling of belonging. And maybe sometimes we think, well, if I just do this something, this thing, if maybe I'll belong. So if I do better in this chore, if I perform better at work, if I get a larger degree, if I'm nice to Aunt so-and-so, maybe if I model my grandfather or my grandmother, if I just, this could go on for hours and hours and hours. How many guesses can you make before you start thinking, God, it must be me, right? So even the research I've done, like I researched many things, and I put a couple of links in the description, but even the Mayo Clinic concurs that the importance of having that sense of belonging, how crucial it is so that feelings of suicide, depression, and all kinds of upset don't happen. That sense of belonging is critical and it's human, right? But what I find very interesting, including with the Mayo Clinic, is that they mostly talk about mental health. So I want to do a caveat here. If you feel that you need or want a mental health practitioner, by all means, find one, get yourself one. That's not who I am. I'm not mental health, I'm emotional health, and they're very, very different. And to kind of give you a little sense of what the difference is, I spoke with a therapist client of mine, and I said, what's the difference between a therapist and a coach? Because obviously, if she's my client, she's learning from me. I've been in therapy. I kind of understand that. But I was like, how do we explain the difference? So we came up with two kind of definitions. The overarching concept of a therapist would be like insight for self-navigation. So it would be like, think of you creating your own map as you go. You're a cartographer, and you're going along and you discover something in your mind. So it's kind of like going, okay, there's a river over here, and okay, there's mountains over here, and a flower patch, right? So you're learning and you're going and you're creating it as you go. But you really don't know where this is going to take you. You're just receiving insight after insight. The overarching concept of a coach is something that someone will help guide you to your end results, right? So the coach will give you assistance by skills, tips, pointers, frameworks, information, etc. So you can take yourself where you want to go. The visual I like to use for that is GPS system. You type in your end results, and the GPS will go turn left, turn right, go so many miles, etc. It helps you get to the end destination. So sometimes you're not sure what your end destination is, except I want to feel better, but your coach can help you in the same way that let's just use football because most people can think of a football coach. The kid comes, he's great, he does a really good job, but that coach can see if you tweak this, if you adjust this, you're going to be a much better player, which I know that is what you want, to be that better player. So as a self-love coach, I can tell you that I've been where you are. I've used the GPS system and with the end destination. I've had other people coach me, helping me become better when I couldn't figure it out on my own. I followed the steps and I reached my end destination. And I absolutely feel seen, heard, and valued. But it's not with the people I thought it was going to be with. But it's okay. It's okay. You know, I get way more value out of the people that are like my group or my tribe that I'm with now, as opposed to the people I thought I should get it from, certain family members or, I don't know, organizational connections or something. So I will let you in on a little secret too. Those groups that I thought I wanted it, they still don't see me or hear me or value me. But it's okay because I realize that I don't need them to. That's the magic. When you don't need a particular person or group to accept you, it's like you're free to go where you need to go so that you can find that group or tribe and you're not stuck in where you shouldn't be. So I learned the tools, skills, and frameworks, and I found the capacity, which we all have, to grow my dignity, respect, and self-worth. And as I did, my self-love and my self-knowing grew, deep self-knowing. And as that grew, I became what I like to call more awesome on the inside, which showed up as courage and clarity and confidence, because I learned what it takes to have that. I became, as those things happened, I was more seen, heard, and valued. But again, to be clear, not everywhere, just some places, and that's okay. I've learned that there are some places, and you probably know this as well, that just want to knock other people down to make themselves feel better. And so the best thing for me in those kinds of situations is to stay away from that. Allow them to be who they are without trying to fit into their space. They don't have space for me, and that's okay. It's like I'm the wrong puzzle piece in their puzzle, so I don't belong. And I get that. So I just take my little puzzle piece and I go find a different puzzle where I do belong. And that's where I shine, right? So find where you shine. Begin with the inside. Discover who you are and learn the life-affirming skills that I can teach you so you can be seen, heard, and valued. If you're ready to elevate your dignity, respect, and worth, check out my Learning to Love course. It begins in February. I'll put the link in the description because it's just too long to explain it here. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to belong. It's natural, and having the desire to be seen, heard, and valued does not make you selfish. It doesn't make you desperate or a burden or weak or anything like that. It makes you totally normal, a normal human, right? We all need it. We all need to belong. We all want to get our needs met. So if you want to learn to get your needs met, click the link in the description for the Learning to Love course. And let me say this, which might sound a little bit mean when I say it. Please don't take it that way. But I think if you sit with it for a moment, you'll say, yeah, maybe that's a little bit true, right? So stop fighting for your misery. Stop trying to belong in that particular group, right? Stop fighting for your misery and start fighting for your joy and your happiness. You can be seen, heard, and valued, but it's got to start from within. I'm Deb Pearson, helping you become more awesome on the inside.